Today, we get another reminder that marksmanship really matters and is up to you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's research-informed defensive lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host, John Correa.
And I'm your co-host, Neil Widener. Today's video comes out of Yamundi, Colombia.
Magtech is the only freedom seed I use on the range. I personally have over 100,000 rounds downrange of Magtech, and it's unbelievably reliable, very accurate, and a great value. Pick some up for your next range trip wherever you shop for range supplies.
Dude on a moto rolls in here, and this is like an auto parts store, according to the news stories that I've linked in the description. And he is going to show up and be like, yo, man, I need some parts for my bike. Oh, but wait, I've got a gun carried appendix, and so I need all the money out of the till as well. So he is going to rob the till. I've sped up a mid part here for the sake of time. And then he's going to put that gun away and get back on his bike. Well, the shop owner has a gun too. He's going to get his out. Our bad guy's going to get his gun back out when he sees what's coming. And they're going to exchange a whole bunch of gunfire. Well, the news story says neither of them hit a darn thing. But thankfully, the townspeople saw what's going on. I think apparently both their guns went empty. Then they grabbed a hold of this guy and gave him a community beatdown, holding him until the cops showed up. Our good guy at least got his money back that was robbed from him, and nobody was hurt other than our bad guy taking a beating. You know, golly, Neil, even if people can't make it to a live fire training class, which I certainly recommend, take a day of training every year. Man, in the ASPA Unlimited app, we have literally over 20 full-length firearms training classes that you can practice those skills in your dry practice, and they're there for everybody to take.
Hundreds of hours from, national level trainers that will really help you improve your shooting, and it's all there. Join us.
Neil, I feel like I say this all the time, but it is a reminder that bears repeating, that the bad guy gets to set the time and the place of the attack in these kinds of incidents that private citizens get involved in. And so the answer here, even if you're carrying, and I carry everywhere I go, I know you do too, is to wait your turn. You've got to use purposeful compliance here, because if you go for your gun, you're going to get shot.
Yeah, when they've got their gun on you and probably finger on trigger is not the time to try to launch your counter ambush. You've got to wait your turn here, and you've got to do what you can to make it difficult for them. And in this case, if they'd had some sort of locking mechanism to where they couldn't get in, even if it was just a little, a hook or something that might have given him an extra second or two before he got in that, in the back area there, potentially he could have been ahead a little bit sooner in all of this.
Yeah, and remember, again, the bad guy gets to set when he decides to show you the gun and when the attack starts. And in private citizen encounters, he's using that gun as an intimidation tool. If he just wanted to murk the owner here, he would have just shot him, right? He just pulled the gun up, shot him, and then gone back and taken the stuff. Thankfully, most times they're using it as an intimidation tool, but always, always, always believe that that gun is real, that it is loaded, and that he is willing to use it. All three of those are the case here in this gunfight. So don't take it like, he's just threatening me with it. He's not willing to use it. But use that purposeful compliance. Use that thing that says, okay, I'm going to wait my turn, and then I'm going to take my turn. And that means full compliance. Don't do half-hearted attempts, right? I think the owner does that here. We can't see it because of the camera's too dark because of the difference in the lighting situation that's going on here. So comply fully, give him, whatever it is he wants, tell you can get ahead. Now, I know some folks are going to talk about this, Neil, and be like, well, wait a minute, the guy is fleeing now, so this is not justified use of deadly force. I would disagree. The guy is still threatening with that gun. The clerk, the owner here, has every right. It's still in process armed robbery. I'm talking about United States law here. So he's stopping an armed robbery, a violent felony against his person in doing this. Now, that said, I think that is, he doesn't really have the skill here. Because if he did, gosh, man, even at 7 yards, which is what he probably is here, his gun should be up and putting bullets in this guy. But he doesn't feel like he can do that from that distance, so he has to close that distance.
Yeah, I think something to think about there, John, is the bad guy essentially walks in and lays a contract on the table that says this, that says, give me your stuff or I'm going to kill you. And so that's the rules of engagement, that if you don't give him your stuff, you're going to die. That's at least the threat that has been made. So we've got to take that threat seriously, and we've got to react accordingly. So a lethal response or deadly force response, I think, is completely reasonable. But if you don't have the skill to do that, You either need to find the skill or find a different solution to that, and maybe just let the guy go or whatever. But if you're going to get in a gunfight and you don't have the skill to win the gunfight, or at least be, somewhat accurate in the gunfight, then you've got to go get some training. You've got to spend some time, like you said in the earlier. I mean, we've got tons of training online that we can do now. There's hundreds of YouTube channels. There's thousands and thousands of hours of training out there that you can have literally for nothing, or you can go take a class, spend a little bit of money, and you'll see a massive improvement right away. But at 7 yards, this is not a shot you should miss.
As Jeff Cooper is famous for saying, owning a gun makes you a self-defender like owning a guitar makes you a musician. It's about proficiency. So again, if I could go back to this good guy, our shop owner, and give him just a few hours of instruction and some practice on getting his gun out and accurate shots at that 5 to 7 yard range, this gunfight is over, and it's over very quickly. Again, I don't have any problems with the legality of this. I think this is completely and totally legal. But the second clue here that our good guy is not highly trained is because he's shooting with one hand. And I get asked that all the time. Well, how often do people shoot with one hand? I see it all the time, but not because they need to. There's no reason for this guy to have to shoot one-handed. None. It's just because he chooses to. He's not looking down the sights here. You can see the rear sight's super elevated, so he's just stuck the gun out in front of him and is winging shots. But misses don't end gunfights. We say this all the time. It's very hard to miss fast enough to win a gunfight, but it's real easy to hit slow enough to lose one. And so put two hands on the gun. Yes, it is a handgun, so you can shoot it with one hand, but boy, is it better with two.
Yeah, the fact is that our good guy appears to have shot first in this thing. So he kind of escalated from a deadly encounter to an actual gunfight. If you're going to be the one that takes that first shot, make it count. And I don't think there was any reason for him to step out from behind the cover or whatever it was, that desk that he was behind is hard to see in the dark there. But he was at about 7 yards there where he moved to. He was more out in the open. It was an easier shot for the bad guy. And he gained 2 yards? So putting two hands on the gun, seeing your sights from a dark position, he probably was better off staying where he was, putting two hands on the gun and ending it with 1 or 2 shots, rather than all of that movement, putting one hand on the gun and just winging it, and kind of the spray and pray kind of thing. Because what we saw was two guys, both of them were using one hand, so neither of them hit each other. The only reason our bad guy put two hands on the gun was because it malfunctioned multiple times. So that's the only time you see him with two hands on the gun either. So understand, bad guys have no training. We're good guys. We're responsible. If we're going to be responsible, get trained so that in your day you can make it count.
A surplus of skill makes this a much easier problem, and a problem that is solved more definitively sooner with less risk to you. So I know, right? It's your right to keep and bear arms. I'm down. I'm not for government mandated training at all, but you're responsible to make sure that you win your fight. Notice here as well, our bad guy, thank God, is having malfunctions in his gun. His gun is not functioning correctly, so he's having to go back and clear malfunctions. So our good guy has opportunities here. He's ahead of the bad guy whose gun is malfunctioning, but he's not shooting. He doesn't have that gun up. He's not using his sights. Here now, we're probably at 8-9 yards. So you really want to use those bumpy things on top of the gun. Even better, a pistol-mounted optic if you can. I recognize that's got some expense to it, but it makes that much easier at anything past 7 yards. But he's not shooting here because, again, I think he expected, wait a minute, I shot at the guy and that should have done it. But it's the bad guy who is a little bit more kind of motivated that you got to worry about here.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of these lately where our bad guy is a little bit more motivated to stay in the fight. And those, while those are a rarity, we have to plan for that. Not that the bad guy's just going to run off as soon as we start winging shots at him. It's best when they do. It's great when they take off as soon as they start receiving some incoming fire. But we've got to plan for that they're not going to, that they are going to stand and fight. And if they are going to stand and fight, we've got to have, like you say, the surplus of skill to end the fight and end it quickly.
End the fight and end it quickly. And that surplus of skill comes with practice. It comes with some training. And I just noticed that our good guy here is not even firing. He doesn't even have his gun up. And again, two hands on the gun, use those bumpy things on top of it, right? Those sights, again, iron sights can do the job if you train with them enough. A little easier with a pistol-mounted optic for more people. But recognize that, hey, use those sights, get that gun up because he's giving you opportunities here. Now, instead, what our good guy's going to do, he does finally get the gun back up, and then he's coming around the corner. Now, I do recognize that to get out of his store, he needs to come around the corner here. but he's hugging his cover is what he's doing. He's hugging it real tight and sticking his arm out and around. And this is something we see people do who don't have a decent amount of training all the time, because you take a little bit of training with cover and concealment here, and you recognize that if you back off of that and he stayed where he was in that aisle that's kind of in the middle of the screen here, then he would have had much better angles. His cover would have worked better. He wouldn't have been as encumbered, and he probably would have been able to get better hits here. So these are the things that if you have that surplus of skill and experience, you can get ahead of this guy. But unfortunately, Neil, very few of us get to do this kind of training.
It's pretty rare. And now, I literally just took a class that had some cover and concealment work in it recently. So it's not unheard of. It's that you've got to go find an instructor that teaches this kind of stuff. And you've got to have some experience in doing this. And once you've had some experience and kind of feel it, you get a real good understanding of how cover works, how concealment works, and how you can best get your best shots by covering your body with maybe just your head sticking out just a little bit with one eye so that you can see to make these shots, especially with this guy being right-handed. If he is over on the other side of that door using that cover, he can just peek out. The bad guy could barely see him, and he could probably see the entire bad guy. Again, you've got to use your sights. Again, you've got to use all of the techniques and all that kind of stuff that comes with the rest of the practice. But getting into a class where you can do some of that work will teach you a lot in a very little amount of time.
It will teach you so much. And we're not the only ones who teaches that. There are plenty of people who do. I will say, get your stand and deliver skills. If his stand and deliver skills were strong, he wouldn't have needed all this, right? So all the cover, concealment, movement stuff is only because his stand and deliver skills were not very good. So get really good at the stand and deliver skills first, and then you may not even need this other stuff, okay? A lot of people like to do that stuff because it's the cool guy stuff on the range. Now, finally, yay for the community showing up and holding on to this guy and giving him a beatdown. Quite frankly, the community should, though, have been standing and looking at him going, ooh, that sucks. He got shot a whole bunch, and he is, we don't have to even touch this guy. So listen, is this a win? Yeah, heck yeah, I'd consider it a win. Is it the kind of win I want you to have? I want you to have a more definitive win, that if a guy is an immediate deadly threat to you and yours, that you're not taking rounds your way and risking your life and the life of what looks like maybe your daughter, your wife, your coworker, something like that in your shop. I want you to get a flawless victory. I want you to get this guy and put him down, because it ends the threat more quickly and more definitively. So please hear me what the answer to this one is. It's not just have a gun sitting behind the counter, or just have a gun sitting, on your person even. It's to be proficient with it, and don't lie to yourself about it. Know what you can do so that you can more quickly cover your asp.